What's good, family? It's your boy VE to the double LE, and I'm back again. You know I had to show up because I won the Lower Arkansas Burst Protocol OTS yesterday. I went overall, including top cut, I went 7-1. Only losing round one to my boy Qua in a solid 3 games. We'll talk about the rest of the matchups. What did I play? Man, y'all know I played some 60 card Spice, the 60 card God. I came with 60 card Fiendlink with a little tech, and I'm gonna get into it. So a little background is me and the homies. Shout out to Team I Got a Box. Shout out to my boys Devin, JJ, Sebastian, Deontay. Shout out to my team, all of that. But I just basically went to the OTS with the homies. I already had my invite. So, you know, I was just going to go. I built my deck literally I submitted this deck list, built and submitted this deck list right before registration ended. So I didn't expect a whole lot. And it turns out they keep letting me do this, man. They keep letting me do this. So we're going to talk about the deck list, and then there are definitely some changes, like I said, because it was so haphazardly built. There's some changes, but not a whole lot of them. Mostly in the non-engine slots, because the main deck was pretty solid. So let's get to it. 2 Lotus, could have been 1. There's so many ways to get to it. Y'all seen in my other list that usually it is just 1. 2 Spirit, not changing that. U-Bell, most people stop there, but Terra Incarnate is actually crazy in terms of like lethal line pushes. I don't know. I sided them out like one time, and then I put them right back in, and didn't side them out again the rest of the day, just because it literally does give you the extra push you need. If you just want to, they leave themselves open or you freeze them for U-Bell TK. The package that I'm accustomed to. 2 tour guides and a Rhino Warrior. This should have been 3, but I just didn't play 3. That's one of the changes. Of course, the Fiendsmith package, 2 Engraver, 1 Lacrima, 1 Lurie, and then in this list, I actually played the Sinister Necrom and the Adusted Gold. Rhino Warrior, can dump them. You can send it off Aerial Eater. You can do. There's a bunch of ways, easy ways to get to it, so it's not a big deal. Then the extenders, 2 Squirmer and 2 Buio and 2 Shervara. These cards are all solid. As you see, my Unchained package shrunk dramatically, mostly because of space, because of something else you guys are about to see. I wouldn't change anything about that ratio, except I would turn one of these Lotus into a tour guide. And then the package that really makes this deck cool, we played the Radiant Typhoon package. 2 Schwinn, 2 Eldum, or 2 Eldum, 2 Schwinn. Those are the only Radiant Typhoon monsters I played. And then the non-engine, we had quite a bit of it, actually, in terms of monsters. 3 Ash, because you have to have it for the 3 Fua. Also, you have to have these for the Draco Tail traps or whatever. 2 Nib. I didn't resolve Nib a single time. I drew it twice. Once against K9, which is worthless. And once against Draco Tail, which he was playing the Spoon package. So this card didn't put in any work at all. So this could probably move to the side for some matchups. But Bell was definitely a much better card. This probably could have been a 3rd Bell. Some different things like that. So that's all the monsters in the deck. Spells, you have the Radiant Typhoon package. I think this card is crazy. And I only played 1 Vision and 1 MST. We would definitely have switched this up and played a 2nd MST and maybe a 2nd copy of Vision. Just because these cards are highly impactful. And they're also, this is 1 card combo by itself if you open up this. And then the MST just helps where you don't have to do as much going 2nd. Then, you know, the standard stuff. We have the 3 Thrones. We had 2 Nightmare Pain. We were playing in a format with Radiant Typhoon as a deck. So you always want to have 1 for follow-up. But also, this card is just crazy. There was a scenario where This deck really rewards you for playing well. There was a scenario where all I had was this and a Brio, and I reverse engineered the entire combo from just that. So it was nice. And the rest of my hand was kind of cheeks. 2 Sanct, 1 Tracked. This card is so much better now that Fusion Lacrima is back. It helps you kind of play a little deeper, and you don't have to really worry about whether, because a lot of cards like Bounce or Book of Moon, and this kind of helps you out because you can live with bounces and Book of Moons. 1 Mutiny, of course, and then some more non-engine. We got Call By, and then the best cards in the deck in terms of non-engine. We have 3 Droplet, 2 Crown. I wish I had a 3rd Crown. Crown is actually crazy in this list because with U-Bell cards, I can just freeze one of your big dudes in place. It stands there, can't do anything, and I just punch it for game. It's real easy. Droplet is crazy because every card, you saw I have so many cards that have like grave triggers. So it helps me break boards, dodge things like that. And then some cards that I would definitely swap out was the Crossout and Double Wild. I love Double Wild in previous formats. Y'all know I was playing Lord of the Missing Barrels, cards like that. But I literally sided all 3 of these out every game. Like, there was no game these remained in my deck. Just because this card is good to get to U-Bell if you have some other stuff going. But with cards like Fallen and Virtuous and things like that, it's much harder to resolve this card. So if I kept it, it would only be as like a 1 of instead of like a 3, and then this would just be some other non-engine. And then we only played 2 traps, which was the Fiendsmith of Paradise, and we switched from the Pop Trap to the Reborn Trap for Unchained, only because our engine is so far shrunken down. And with the amount of board breakers out here, this lets you, when you make your bow, so even if you can use a bow as a pop, and then you leave this in your graveyard, so if they have to droplet or something to save a resource, rather than them hitting your bow or getting a bow plus Unchained, Solar Rage. Honestly, when you build this board and your opponent has to use droplet, they always have to sit in 2 to 3 because your board is always going to be kind of crazy. We'll get to the side deck because it's the most interesting thing as far as... It's not really the most interesting. 2 Lightning Storms, 1 Duster. These always come in against like Draco Tail. 3 Mistaken Arrest. This card is crazy. Same thing, 2 Droll and Lockbirds. This card really... It comes up, but it doesn't come up. This card is just better because it stops Radiant Typhoon from playing in the draw phase. If you have this is okay. You still side it in, but Radiant Typhoon does a lot of playing around. They do as much as they can in the draw phase. So by the time you get here, they may have accrued so many resources that it doesn't really matter. And they try to get the monster negate on field before they get crazy. So if you hit them with Mistaken Arrest, the game essentially ends. 2 Perulia, which probably could have just been in the main deck. They were nice. They were okay. A card that people are 50-50 on, but I'm fantastic about, is Pankratops. Every time I drew this card, I won the game. It trades 1 for 1. And with this deck, all I need to do is trade for specific interactions, and I could play through everything else. So because we're in a low hand trap format, I did lose 1 game to Magnet Warriors. I won the match, but I did lose 1 game because he had 7 hand traps, and I just couldn't play through that. And then the best part about this that people really sleep on is the fact that I can just side Floodgates. I didn't play a single Malice, but we had Chaos Hunter, Invader of Darkness. These Invader of Darkness and End of Anubis are essentially FTKs because you full combo, and these cards are on your board at the end, and they're fiends, so you can dump them with Aerial Eater, bring them back with a Bow, bring them back with Muckracker, and then they're in addition to the rest of your board. This is just FTK and Radiant Typhoon. It also makes it where decks that play Super Poly and Fallen and Virtuous can't out your board. So you typically side this in anyway, going first. You don't want to main it, obviously. But it stops you from getting dropleted. It stops you from getting Fallen into Virtuous. It stops Radiant Typhoon from using any of their quick play spells. So that deck, it's instantly an FTK because they literally can't play through Phantom, Caesar, Fiendsmith in Paradise, they can't play through whatever board you establish. So just being able to play floodgate monsters to make the game state almost unwinnable. End of Anubis for Draco Tail. It's not as good against the Spoon Dispenser variant. It is good, but if they have some other things they might be able to. But next to a Caesar with a Muckraker on field, it's unoutable. Unless they're playing a Super Poly package. And this deck is really hard to Super Poly because we never really leave more than one attribute. And then the extra deck, the Melody, the Brass Gin. So this is how you essentially, any Radiant Typhoon opener gives you the full combo. You open Schwinn or Eldum. You make the guy, or you normal summon Tour Guide, you make the guy, it's full combo. So you play this. I was big on Cherubini, but there's so much removal now that Cherubini doesn't serve the same purpose, and because we're playing a couple other things, we need the body. Caesar is Caesar, there's nothing to talk about there. Then Requiem, Sequence, Agnum Day to push for game. You can't just not play Agnum Day. I've tried, and because I slimmed my Unchained package down, I had to make some choices in the extra deck, and so Agnum Day being the last choice. Then we play the one Yama and the one Solar Rage. Probably the best Link 2 right now is Muckraker in this deck. A lot of times you do your thing, you do your combo, you use it, this protects your guy from falling in the Virtues, which is usually the only out people have to your board in the first place. And if you expect they play like evenly matched, you're making Desiree with this, so they can't out Desiree, they can't out the Caesar because Muckraker is just protecting. If you use your Falling in the Virtues on Muckraker, okay, you essentially did nothing. So this is fine. You can always put this back with Sequences effect, Muni in the Sky. You can bring it back with a Bow. There's so many things you can do with Muckraker. It used to be a card I hated. Another card that has worked its way into my heart because of the format. A Bow. This card is fantastic. A lot of times she just helps you push. These essentially, you want to end on this, and you want to end on this on the board, but you can also end with this too. You can usually end with both, but that plays in the Super Poly, so I normally leave one and follow up with the other, depends on what my hand is or whether I'm going first or second. This lets you build OTK. This lets you play better through hand traps before you get to this. So if you get hand trapped and you have to go this way, typically you end on this. You end with both of them on board because you had to play through some number of interaction. And then SP, just for the Solar Rage. You got then the Fusions, Spirit, Phantom of Ubel. Can be used as a Super Poly target, is crazy. And the card is just insane because it checks so many different effects. So people really want, which is another reason why you end on a Muckraker, because people really want to check this card early, because they usually need monster effects to do stuff. So yeah, Aerial Eater, because Aerial Eater is crazy. Luke, usually Luke is your follow-up for game. Normally if you're going first, you end up making this. If you're going second, depending on the game state, you make this first, and then you can get into this, because if you have access to Sequence, Sequence can just make this. You can dump Buio and then make this, and then you still end on your full board. You can kill your opponent. And then we put the Lacrima Fusion back in. I was fighting, and Desiree. This card overperformed because it gives you bodies, but it also gives you the ability to get Engraver's effect off in a way that's conducive. There were some games I probably could have won a little faster if I just burned with her effect, but it was already lethal with the way the board was setting up, so I never really had to use the effect. I could have BM'd and used the effect, but a lot of times it's good for what it's doing. If you need that last little push for game, most certainly you can do this. You can make all kinds of things, and it's another card that just gets shuffled back. This deck is pretty much infinite. Because of the field spell, you get Phantom. These two can kind of cycle. You can kind of cycle these two individually. Because of Solar Rage, if you get Solar Rage on the field, pop your Solar Rage, you can add it back. You only get one use out of Yama, but in this format, with Sting and all those other cards out here, you really don't need it. So let me give a quick rundown My matchups, round one, I played against Branded Magistus Draco Tail. That was Qua. I lost that in 3. He had the Omni. He had the Monster Negate for Spirit of Ubil, and I couldn't special summon it. And I got wiped off the map. Game 2, I hit him with the end of Anubis combo. And then game 1 is similar to game 2. I also opened up Lurie in both hands. But it was a solid match. He ended up taking that. Round 2, I played against Yummy Tri Brigade. That was a 2-0. Round 3, I played against K9 for Hire. That was a 2-0, I think. Round 4, I played against DDD. That was a 2-0. Round 5, I played against Magnet Warriors. That was a 2-1. We cut to top 8. I played against Branded Draco Tail. I played against Pure Branded. So that was a 2-0. Top 4, I played against Radiant Typhoon, Dark Magician, K9. I won game 1, kind of like, just building the board. Game 2, he kind of messed up. He had a crazy hand, but he hadn't played Naroi in a while, so he kind of locked himself. So, I mean, he basically gifted me that game. So I took that one 2-0. And then the finals, I played JJ on Cool Tune, and I took that one 2-1. So that's how we got this mat. This deck is crazy. Like I said, there's going to be some changes as far as like double wild, some non-engine. The main deck itself is solid. It's actually a really good deck into the format because Super Poly doesn't affect it. Muckracker protects you from all the major non-engine. It does struggle if you get hand trapped 5 or 6 times, but what deck doesn't? So I like it. But man, after 8 rounds, we brought it home, baby. They say he washed, but I'll keep letting me do it. It's your boy, VE to the double L, Eater, 60 card, God, signing out.